Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Glorious Life on Wheels. You know, I hear from a lot of people who are on the road as nomads, doing van life, RVing, and many of them are talking about one issue that's really making them miserable. But it's not only them. I also hear from a lot of people who send me emails or comments who want to start living on the road and traveling, but they're afraid. And that one issue is what's causing them to hesitate. Well, today I'm going to address that, and I'm going to give you 5 ways to deal with the thing that I think is really the number one reason why so many people actually leave the road and stop being nomads. But come on, let's talk about it, shall we? I know you're probably asking, well, Carol, what is it? Well, you know what? I'm going to let you hear it from a clip that I'm going to share with you from a very well-loved couple who have been on the road for around 9 years, and they're going to tell you how this issue impacted them.
Assumed the toughest part of RVing would be RVing. Finding campsites, travel planning, things breaking. But in reality, I think the most challenging part, which is what a lot of RVers encounter if they're on the road more than 6 months, is loneliness. We had set off on this amazing adventure that we had planned for over a year. We were making memories as a family. It was everything that we had imagined, but we were so lonely.
Now just think about it. If you have a couple like this one from Less Junk, More Journey, who has a wonderful relationship, beautiful family, and they're feeling isolated and lonely on the road, can you imagine what so many of the solo people on the road must be feeling? They were even questioning whether or not they had made a mistake and thinking that perhaps life on the road as a nomad or RVing full-time was perhaps not for them.
We got to the point during this first year, probably about that 6-8 month mark, we're like, man, maybe this just isn't for us.
They shared just how critical it is to life on the road, to have that sense of community, to belong to a community, to have a community that embraces you.
If you don't pay attention to community and you wait for community to come to you, it can be one of the most lonely experiences I think you'll ever have in your life, honestly. Mm-hmm. We experienced that in that first year. But once we had this bulb go off in our head, and we started putting ourselves out there more, and we started trying to reconnect with people we connected with before, the value it brings and the ability to just have these deeper conversations, it was life-changing.
It was really an excellent video on the importance of community, and I'm going to drop a link to it because they share more in that video about some things that they are doing to help people have a sense of community and belonging on the road. But right now, I am going to, as promised, give you those 5 steps that you can take to start building a community so that you won't feel so isolated and lonely on the road. We weren't meant to do life alone. We're really much better together. And number 1, I'm going to look at my notes so I don't forget anything important. Number 1 is you have to be intentional about building a community. As they said in their video, if you're going to just wait for people to come knock on your door, it's not going to happen. You have to actively seek out relationships and involvement with others. And I'm going to give you an example of something I did. Now, the first year that I went to the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, the RTR, I didn't know anyone. I was alone. I was just checking out van life. I was learning more about it, trying to find out if it was something I wanted to do. And I didn't make any connections. I just kind of stayed to myself, kind of observed, went around looking and checking out different vehicles. But I didn't really seek to make any connections, long-term connections. Year 2, completely different story. I was camping overnight near some women. You may know the YouTuber Crystal Vanner, and she was with a group, and I heard them saying, oh, we're going to be going over to join the main RTR, and we're going to camp over there. Crystal was going to have her own camping group. So I went over and I asked her, I said, I don't know anyone. Is it okay with you if I follow you and kind of camp with you guys? And I know she was probably thinking, who is this woman? But she was gracious and she said, yeah, come on. And I did. And to this day, I have very good friends that I met at that RTR by camping with those women. I have people that I have camped with, that I've traveled with, and I was intentional. I had a made-up mind that I was going there for the specific purpose of not only attending the RTR, but to come away with some long-term friendships and relationships, and I did. Number 2, and let me refer to my notes here, is go online and check out different groups online that are nomads, or where nomads congregate online. There's so many groups. There's groups for gathering together in Quartzsite. There's groups for traveling to Mexico. There's groups for solo females. There's groups for women over 60s. There's groups for people who just want to be friends, not romantically. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many van life and nomad groups there are online. And you can truly make connections and make friends through going on there and meeting people that way. By the way, I think HOWA, that's Home on Wheels Alliance, has virtual chats, and I think they may have them on Sundays. So check out their website because they have virtual chats and you can meet people that way also. Number 3, go to where van lifers, nomads are. For instance, there are meetups all year long. If you go online and just put in van life meetups or van meetups, they'll have a list all around the country of different meetups that you can attend. I met one of my very dearest friends now, Cheryl, at the Gutted meetup in Colorado. And I've met people at Lollapalooza who are now very close friends. Also, in terms of going where people are, there are activities that different groups have, such as the escapees, and join those groups. I loved escapees and I love them still. I joined them last year. They have activities all across the country, and they have people who are full-time, part-time, just love RVing or living the life, and you will meet a lot of really wonderful people, and probably some of whom will start to become part of your tribe and part of your community. So again, go to where people are and engage with them there. I think I'm on number 4. Am I? I lost track. But number 4 would be stay at locations longer. It's very difficult if you're just going through, staying overnight at a Walmart and then moving on to the next location for a night at a truck stop and then moving on. That's not how you're typically, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not typically how you're going to meet people that are going to become friends and part of your van life or nomad community. I would suggest staying at places at least a couple of weeks. That's why the long-term visitors areas, or the long-term visitor areas in Quartzsite, the BLM land where you can stay for up to 8 months, is a wonderful place to meet people because you're camped next to them for weeks on end if you want. And you can have campfires, you can share stories, you can go into town to eat, you can have potlucks. It's just a wonderful way to develop friendships. Also, even the 14-day BLM land campgrounds are wonderful places to meet people. It's amazing how fast you bond with people on the road and how quickly friendships can be established. And you can then meet people if they're going on to, say, Yuma or wherever, and you don't have a specific destination in mind, you can tag along, or you guys can come up with an entirely different destination that you want to travel to and see together. But staying longer at locations is something I strongly advocate and advise if you want to start meeting people and developing a tribe and being part of a community. The last thing I'm going to recommend in this video is to go onto YouTube. There are so many van lifers and nomads that have YouTube channels. You'll find out what's happening in the community. You'll hear about meetups. You'll learn things about how to boondock, how to build your van out. You'll just learn so many things, and you can connect with so many people going on to YouTube channels. Another wonderful, and I mean wonderful thing about going onto YouTube channels that are run by nomads is they often have live broadcast. I know I do for Glow Live every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And you would be simply amazed at how you connect with people, or how you can connect with people online. I tell you, we know if people are sick and need prayer. We share things about our lives. We know when people are getting ready to be a grandparent for the first time. We know when people they share when they're looking for an RV, or when they found their perfect RV. You just make bonds. I can't explain it, but it happens. And I have friends that I have made through my YouTube lives that I talk to on the phone on a regular basis. So that is another suggestion I would strongly urge you to follow up on. If you have been on the road and experienced loneliness and found a solution to build a community, would you share it in the comments? If you are on the verge of quitting RV life and something turned it around, would you share that so other people can benefit from your experiences? Meanwhile, I'm heading out, and do join us at 3 p.m. on Saturday for the live and get to know the nicest group of people, I think, online anywhere. Meanwhile, may your journeys be filled with joy and blessings, and I'll see you down the road.